You have great ideas and want to use AI to build them, but you keep getting trapped in endless AI no code loops while everyone else is shipping products. What if AI could actually accelerate your path to building instead of slowing it down? I'll walk you through my process for using AI to create professional development plans, not just prototypes. Last night, I decided to start working on a key part of the Global Fluency Lab work that my sister and I are working on. And instead of getting stuck in this tool paralysis, I used the following 6-step process to create everything I'd need to actually start building. By the end of this video, you'll have a systematic approach that gets you development ready, not just demo ready. I went through, like I said, 6 phases. Last night, what I did this morning is I took the notes down, kind of all the steps I took, threw them into Claude and asked it to write out an outline of what I was doing, because this is the type of system that I think is valuable for improving and raising the bar of what we're doing as builders. And so let me walk you through at a high level. First one is a strategic brain dump. Phase 2, deep market research. Let's really not call it super deep market research, but we're going to use some of the deep research models to help us get there. We're going to then talk about structure creation, on making sure that we have all of the right documents in place. Then we'll get into using CloudCode. So I just started using CloudCode, 24 hours ago. And honestly, it's very, very impressive. I'm very happy with the move. And so we'll talk a little about how I use that. And then phase 5, strategic MVP development. This is about really getting to understand what it is that you're going to be building. This is not necessarily the execution phase yet. And then phase 6, the implementation plan. Once again, it's building the plan, checking over the plan, making sure that you are aligned with the AI tools and what it's telling you before you get building. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through this in more detail today. What it looks like, what it doesn't do. It's not going to be perfect, but that's what I really would like to go over today. So let's jump on in. So this first phase, strategic brain dump. What I first did was I opened up a prompt with Claude, just the web tool or the desktop app, whatever you're using. And I had been working on the Global Fluency Lab with my sister. We've been building out this tool, and we've been talking with some customers, and we understand some of their pain point. But I now needed to bring all of this together and share some of these thoughts and start organizing this work. And so my first step was to just open up Claude and write out what I was trying to do. And some of the first prompt I had it do was, can you write out a PRFAQ or design a marketing strategy for this product? It was just an overview. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Okay, so let's take a look at phase 1, the strategic brain dump. This is where I started fairly broadly with Claude. It was just a chat discussion where what I wanted to share with it was what I was thinking. This was about our language tool, our learning tool from an academic perspective, helping students learn English for getting ready for high school, or ready for college rather. So I just threw this into Claude, told it what I was trying to solve, and asked it to help me build out a plan for that. And then I asked Claude to talk with me, discuss with me the different ideas of what we needed to do. So you'll see here, you're looking for unfiltered ideas exploration with Claude. You don't have any decisions made yet. You're just starting to, or you may have some of them, but it's still pretty broad. I gave it some of the target users. In this role, it was parents and students. You want to talk about what you're thinking, what your proposal or hypothesis is for what the core problem is. And then you're going to get some feedback from Claude. It gives you some details. This was huge for me. Started to articulate or organize on some problem statements around target audience definition and some of the initial ideas, so I could see whether or not Claude and I were thinking the same way about what it was that I was thinking. So this gave me the beginning structure. Doesn't take very long. They're talking maybe 5 to 8 minutes. It might be a couple of prompts back and forth. I find that if you give all of these LLMs or chats the opportunity to ask you questions to clarify, you get better results. It's not about writing the perfect prompt that gets it all the first time. It's about having that ongoing dialogue and refining it. Just be careful that you don't wander too far off, because they'll wander with you. Okay, so in phase 2, this is where we move into the deep research. Let's call this what it really is. We're just using the tools that are available to do the deep research work. And this is actually a mistake here. It's not the O3 model. This is just ChatGPT's deep research model. And so what I did is I put in 2 different deep research requests. Now, ChatGPT's deep research, I find it to be very effective. I've used Perplexity. It's a good tool. And I think if you have that and that's available for you, fine. But I have that. I still find that ChatGPT's deep research goes deeper and will cover more of the topics or the details that I want. For this one, I dug into 2 different areas. First, I wanted to get into the subject matter expertise. This is about a learning program. So I asked it to scour the web and its understanding of what's going on around learning styles, best practices, educational structures for how to help what my target audience was trying to do. So I sent off ChatGPT to go research for that. When I got that back, I read through it. I saved it off as a document. You can just go and copy, load it up in Google Docs, save that. You can always download it as a markdown document that we'll use later. So I did that on the learning, the educational best practices. And I also did it on what are some of the best practices for building out AI voice agents, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a conversation back and forth between the user and the system. And I wanted to get some understanding of what are the areas where it can be problematic. What are some of the concerns from a cost perspective? Where can it get complicated to technically build? What are some of the considerations? And so I had to do deep research on that as well. Now, there's the thing that I really want you to see here is I use Claude to start. I find that it's very good at having some of those initial discussions. I do like ChatGPT's. I like their O3 model when I really want it to make plans as well. And then I do find that ChatGPT's deep research is one of the best. So I use that, and it's valuable to have different tools in your toolkit. But the reality is, if you don't have them all, it's okay. You can use the ones that you have, do the same thing. It will still make meaningful progress for you. So let's step into phase 3. This is where I started to think about, as a product manager, what are the things that I have found helpful to articulate and align my team? And that's the thing. These AIs are part of your team now. If you're doing this as a solopreneur or your own business, trying to get more done, you have to think about them as teammates who can't read your mind and they don't know everything you know. And so here's where I took the next step. This is where I had ChatGPT, the 4.0 model. I had it create an Amazon-style PRFAQ template. I didn't want it to create the whole document yet. So for those that don't know, the PRFAQ, it's one of the things that Amazon does. They write a future press release and then an FAQ for both the users and the internal team, where they go ahead and propose what the questions will be and the answers of what this future product will be. It's a wonderful way to discuss ideas. I put this together. I reviewed it, made some notes. I shared it with my sister. She's making some notes. It's helping us clarify our thinking of what it is we're going to build. What's the go-to-market? How are we competitive? What's our differentiator? But this template was something that I wanted to then use as part of a project file in just a little bit. So I created that. Then I took all of the other documents that I had created, the deep research documents, and I opened up Claude projects. Now, in Claude projects or ChatGPT projects, you can attach assets to use so that the model has all of this other reference material to pull from while it's doing the next round of chats with you. So I pulled in a number of documents. I pulled in the Amazon style PRFAQ template that I had reviewed and kind of gotten it down to what I was comfortable with. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Okay, so I opened up this Claude project, created a new one. It didn't have anything to start with, and then I dragged in these documents. These are the documents that I had created with the deep research and with a couple of my prompts with ChatGPT, and I loaded up. You can add plain text or load up the markdown documents. And then here's the other thing that's really powerful with these projects is that you can give it special instructions. And see, I wanted to work with Claude because I think Claude's, both its Sonnet and its Opus, are really good at planning out development plans. So I gave it a set of instructions, and I'll go through some of these because I think they're important. So first, I wanted it to act as this seasoned technical co-founder and system architect building SaaS platforms. I wanted it to challenge our thinking to ensure we're performing at the very top 0.1% of people in our field. I wanted to give it directions on always breaking down decisions based on certain aspects, have strong bias for action. I don't want this to take months and months to build. I want to get there quickly. I want this to have organization to its planning so that we can get in front of users quickly with key capabilities and then iterate. This is very much of a build, measure, learn, lean startup model. And then I always want to give the prompts this idea that if anything is ambiguous, that might lead it to hallucinate or make up things or go in a wrong direction, to ask clarifying questions. And then when there are multiple paths, I want it to present the top 2 to 3 options with pros and cons and recommend one. I want it to opine, if you would, and then I can disagree if I want to. So I put all of these in, I saved that, and then I started running some of the prompts. So let's look into here. If I go all the way back to the beginning, I had loaded all these documents. So now my prompt was really simple. Build out a PRFAQ for the Academic AI Tutor for English Fluency. And it started working. And then, of course, because I gave it the directions to ask questions if things were unclear, it then asked me a bunch of questions and I answered them. So like I said, it's not about a one and done. So then I answered those questions, and then it built out a PRFAQ. And this one, I think we got pretty close with version 1, and so that was nice. But then it had some challenges. It challenged some of my ideas on pricing, on defensibility, and I answered some of those as well. So then you can see now we have version 3. This is going back and forth and improving. I haven't written any code yet. This is helping me get to an understanding of what we're going to build. The better and more clear this understanding is, the better the tools can help you. So then it created this content scope for MVP. This was the first 6 months. And so I had it, I was concerned about that, but I went ahead and captured that plan. And then I gave it some ideas of how to cut back. Right. So then I was like, okay, how can we get it back from 6 months? So then now we have this down to version 6 and we're cutting back scope. We're deciding on some content specific details for the product, and it got it down to 4 months. Okay. 16-week development plan. That's a pretty good start, but still 4 months. I don't want to take the 4 months, but I felt like I had gotten as far as I could with this. So what I did is I saved this off, and now I move to the next step. This is where I set up CloudCode. Okay, so CloudCode, I'm running this in Cursor just because it's the environment I've been working in recently and it's comfortable, and you can install CloudCode right in the terminal. I'm not going to get too much into how to set that up. If you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to do that, but there's a lot of videos out there on how to do this. It was pretty straightforward. When I first opened this, what I did was I opened a folder that had nothing else in it. I created another folder inside of it, so I had my project folder, Fluency AI Tutor. And then I created my planning folder, and I gave it a bunch of these documents. So this is my PRFAQ that it created. This is my, we developed that. This was my 16-week development plan. I saved that in here. I put in the deep research documents. I core product requirements, which I had gotten from a prompt when I was chatting with ChatGPT about what this might be. I brought in the educational best practices deep research here. And then that's where I had started. Some of these others were created afterwards. And the first prompt I gave it was to review this plan that was here, and then to understand what we were trying to accomplish. Just let it start there. So it would read through these documents. And now I have this development environment that also understands what my plan is. Then I told it to take a look at the 16-week development plan and make a proposal on how to do this faster. And it came up with an accelerated 6-week MVP development plan. We reviewed this a bit. I made some changes for it, but you'll see week 1 to 2, minimum viable conversation, a working voice conversation with one physical sciences topic. And it talked about day 1 to 3, rapid integrations, conversation quality. That was great. And then finally, let me go back here. So we have CloudCode set up, gave it the instructions, and then I asked it to review and make changes on what the development plan was. That part was fairly quick, probably 10, 15 minutes. And then the implementation plan. That's when I then told it, okay, based on what we have in this accelerated 6-week plan, go ahead and build the very first version of this. And it did. And amazingly enough, it worked pretty darn well. It wasn't ultimately what I wanted, but it got us pretty close to what we were looking for to start with. And so that was the key. I mean, if I right now open up and run where I am as of today, which is 24 hours later, let's take a look at where this functions. It's not pretty yet. I'm not worried about the pretty part. It's the functionality. But what I've managed to build with these prompts is a tool. If I click through here, it'll give a lesson. The next part, it'll actually start a voice conversation. Let's see if it will actually do this while I'm recording. We can try it out. I don't know if it'll be available or if my mic will be taken. Hello.
Hello. What do you notice when you put water in the freezer?
So it's talking to me, but I'm not sure that I'm capturing the audio right now.
While we're talking about water freezing, can you describe what you think happens to the water molecules when water turns into ice?
I think the water molecules slow down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the conversation. The thing's not perfect. It's not the way that I want it to work visually, but in a period of 12 hours from idea with these documents to prompting it, I was able to move to creating the ability to talk back and forth with an AI with guardrails around what I wanted to create, which was part of this particular project. But this principle made so much of a difference of what my first version of what was built and what I can actually do for the project and how fast I'm able to move it forward. So that's my 6-step process. So here's just a real quick recap. The key principles here are to use the different models if you have access to them for different jobs. It's just helpful. The other part is to structure and plan what your vision, what your goal, what your desired outcome is, who your customer is before you start to code. And then have a bias for action, for shipping, for putting it in front of people to get the advantage of AI the way that we want to. So we can refine fairly quickly. I met with my sister about a couple of things, made a couple of adjustments already. I have learned a ton in just one day of working on this instead of trying to deal with some bug. Like, don't worry about some of the pieces you can add later, but just focus on the core principles. So for me, in this project, what I'm going to be working on is, one, how can I flesh this out and get this in front of people, making sure it has the right guardrails, validate assumptions that we're making in this, and then iterate as fast as we possibly can. So that's my process. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please do let me know. So if this is the type of content that you would find helpful, or you're looking to get started with your own startup or side hustle and are trying to find ways to use AI to accelerate that process, whether you're technical or not, I'd love to invite you into our free community at Real Builder Lab, where we're putting together a group of people who have these conversations, whether it's about pricing or marketing or customer validation or the technical process of building out automations and marketing, or learning how to use Lovable or CloudCode or Cursor to build your dream, to make it a reality. This is a place where you can come and ask questions and also have a group of people who are doing the same thing to share on their progress and help keep you accountable. So I hope you'll come by. You can find us at realbuilderlab.com. It's a free community for you to join. I'd love for you to be there. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and I would love to get back to you or put together some additional videos if that's helpful. This is exactly the kind of systematic thinking that separates successful founders from those who stay stuck in idea mode. If you want more breakdowns of proven processes, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.